Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Kids Church. My name is Jolie and I'm so happy you're here to join me today. Before we begin our lesson, we're going to start off with the song, so get ready to have some fun.
I am a C, I am a CH, I am a CHRISTIAN, and I have CHRIST in my HEART, and I will LIVEETERNALLY. I am a C, I am a CH, I am a CHRISTIAN, and I have CHRIST in my HEART, and I will LIVEETERNALLY. I am a C, I am a CH, I am a CHRISTIAN, and I have CHRIST in my HEART, and I will LIVEETERNALLY. I am a C, I am a CH, I am a CHRISTIAN, and I have CHRIST in my HEART, and I will LIVEETERNALLY.
Welcome back. So today's lesson is going to be a discussion about pride versus humility, and we're going to talk about the story, A Warning Against Hypocrisy, and it comes to us from Matthew chapter 23, verses 1 through 12. Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, "The teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you, but do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make their phylacteries wide and the tassels on their garments long. They love the place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and to be called rabbi by others. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth father, for you have one Father, and he is in heaven. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. The greatest among you will be your servant, for those who assault themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." So today's lesson is going to be about having pride versus humility. So the word hypocrisy means when you say something but do something else. So if I say I'm going to clean every single day and I don't do it, instead I'm dirty or I don't even bother to clean, then I am considered a hypocrite. So having humility is having humbleness. So it means that you don't put yourself higher than other people, but you also acknowledge that you do low standard things. So being humble is knowing that you do help out other people, but you don't brag about it to everybody. Saying, I help everybody, I do everything for every person just so you look good. And that's what the word pride is. Pride is sort of being conceited, which means you're full of yourself, you have a high self-esteem, and sometimes that's not always good. So in this case, Jesus is trying to explain to us that we should look at the higher authorities, which were the Pharisees, but he said to do what they say and not what they do. So what he means by that, it goes back to the word hypocrisy. So the Pharisees, they were important people and they would set the rules and they would tell the town what to do, but they didn't follow the rules. They did complete opposite. So that's what Jesus means when he tells the townspeople to follow what they say but not what they do. Now, later on in the story, he continues to say how they care about the high seats in the synagogues. They care about all of these high standard things, and they're not being humble. Instead, they're trying to brag, trying to have a high self-esteem just to show off to people. And he's trying to say that nobody is higher than other people. We are all brothers, and we're not trying to be instructors. We have one instructor, and it's God. We have one teacher, and it's God. And that's what he's trying to explain to us, is that no matter what you do for other people, just humble yourself. Just keep it to yourself and know that I help this person today or I help this person every single day. It doesn't mean you have to brag about it. because then you're getting full of yourself, and you have to remember that we are all equal. We're all brothers, and God wants us to have this humility, which is having humbleness, that you don't have to prove to anybody that you are very helpful. You should just know it inside of your heart and spread it also. So that is our lesson for today. We're going to continue with our activity, so get ready. So for today's activity, we're going to need some scissors, a Sharpie or black marker, a piece of paper, aluminum foil, or if you have a paper plate, that works also, some aluminum, or a brown bag. And I just have some little ketchup packets and stuff, and it'll all make sense in a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to make ingredients for a humble pie. So remember, being humble is to understand that we don't have too much conceited feelings and pride in what we do. We know what we do. We think of it as lower standards than other people, and we're okay with it. So we're going to write that on the aluminum. If you have a brown bag, you could write it on the outside of the bag. And what we're going to do is we're going to make little notes, which will be our ingredients for humble pie, to remind us to be humble and what we learned in our lesson. So I'm going to start off by writing that humble means going to God for strength. Leave some space so then I can write something else. So I'm going to write, be kind to others. So another thing I'm going to write is what humility means, and humility is the opposite of pride. So it's not about bragging, and it's also not about putting yourself down, but it's just understanding to be humble with what you do. Another thing I'm going to write is to put God in the center over my needs. So that's something else of being humble and in humility, is to understand that we put God in the center and above all of our needs, because when we start to put our needs above God, things don't always go as planned and we kind of go off route. So if we remember to have God in the center and above all of our plans, then great things are going to happen and we're going to remain focused. Another thing I'm going to put is do as I say, or do what I say. So I remind myself to not fall in hypocrisy like the Pharisees, that they say things and not do what they do. So I'll always remember that I'm going to set an example for other people and family to know that I am true to my word and my actions. Lastly, I'm going to write, be a servant, because Jesus was a servant in this story. So it's just a reminder that Jesus stayed at that low level because he was not trying to prove that he was higher than anybody else. So that's an example for us to know, is that we are all servants and brothers and sisters. So now I'm going to cut them individually. So now we're going to take our aluminum tray or paper plate or paper bag or plastic bag, whatever it is that you're using. And now we're going to place our ingredients for our humble pie. So just to remind ourselves, one of them is to be kind to others. Humility is the opposite of pride. Humility is going to God for strength. Putting God in the center and above my needs and plans is important. To do what I say. And to be a servant like Jesus. So we're going to go ahead and put our little ingredients so we can remember how to stay humble. And now we're going to place this. Oh, actually, I forgot. We're going to place some fake ingredients in here so it seems realistic. If you don't have, this is completely fine, or you can put whatever else you want inside to stay creative. So I just had these extra ketchup packets and some soy sauce and hot sauce. So now it looks like a little platter. And now we're going to put the cover on top. So these are our ingredients for our humble pie. I hope you guys remember the importance of today's story, to stay humble and in humility like Jesus taught us to be, and to understand that it's okay to do great things and be proud of yourself, but it is not to brag and to think that you are better than anybody else. I hope you guys had a great time with today's activity and lesson. I hope to see you guys next week and have a great weekend. Bye!